You know, everyone thinks they know Bob Marley, the prophet of peace, the messenger of love, the man who never raised his voice and never hurt anyone's feelings. But after what happened in an Italian restaurant in New York on March 22nd, 1979, everything changed. At that moment, everyone was in shock. That day, when Bob Marley lost his cool, the entire restaurant witnessed something they never expected. And this story is one of the most powerful stories I will share with you on the Marley Files, the Untold Stories channel. Listen, that evening Bob, his wife Rita, and his friend Al Anderson had finished a recording session at Electric Lady Studios. They went to a small Italian restaurant called Mama Leone. Bob loved this place very much and spent a lot of time there. It reminded him of family dinners in Jamaica. It was a normal evening, families, couples, businessmen. Nothing was out of the ordinary. The girl serving them was Maria Santos, a 23-year-old Puerto Rican girl. She had been working there for 2 years. And you know what? She wasn't just a waitress. She was studying at a medical college at night. Can you imagine? Working at the restaurant during the day, going to class at night. She saved every penny and sent money to her mother in San Juan. She worked double shifts. She was a truly hard-working girl. She wanted to be a nurse. When Maria saw Bob, she recognized him immediately, but she was a professional. She took the order quietly, smiled, and acted respectfully. Bob appreciated this and gave a good amount. Now pay attention. On the other side of the restaurant, there was a man named Richard Whitmore, a 45-year-old investment banker from a wealthy neighborhood in Manhattan. The type who saw himself above everyone else and thought he could buy everything with money. And that evening he had drunk a lot. 3 martinis, 2 glasses of wine. He had started to raise his voice, and his behavior was becoming rude. Maria approached his table. "How is your night going? Do you need anything?" Whitmore looked at her as if she were nothing. "Finally! I've been waiting for bread for more than 10 minutes. Where were you?" Maria's face turned red. "Excuse me, sir. I was serving other tables. I'll bring it this minute." "You'll bring it now," said Whitmore, his voice spreading throughout the restaurant. "Also, this wine is garbage. Bring something proper." Bob raised his head. There was something in that tone. Hostility. Humiliation. "Certainly, sir," Maria replied quietly. But Whitmore didn't stop. "And next time, be faster. I didn't come here to wait for some illegal to figure out her job. Look, pay attention now." The entire restaurant went quiet. That was a racist word. Maria's eyes filled with tears, but she held herself together. "And make sure the wine is actually good," Whitmore continued. "I know people like you aren't used to quality, but try to understand." Bob couldn't take it anymore. Rita held his hand. "Bob, don't." But Bob had already stood up. His friends had never seen him like this. His hands were in fists, his jaw tense, his eyes burning. "Excuse me," Bob said, approaching Whitmore's table. His Jamaican accent was thick. "What do you want?" Whitmore asked irritably. "I want you to apologize to that lady." Whitmore said, laughing, "Who do you think you are? Why should I apologize to an ordinary waitress?" "Because she is a person doing her job, and you are treating her like an animal." "Listen, pal." Whitmore stood up. "This shouldn't concern you." Bob got even closer. "It concerns me when I see cowards attacking someone who can't fight back. And you are that coward." Now the whole restaurant was watching. Maria was standing in the middle of the dining room, crying, watching this stranger defend her. "Coward?" Whitmore's face turned red. "You're calling me a coward? How dare you? You are a piece of foreign trash." You don't even belong in this country. Look, this was the moment. Bob completely exploded. Foreign piece of trash? Bob's voice thundered through the restaurant like lightning. Rita stood up at the table, and Al did too. Both were in shock. You want to talk about being foreign? Bob continued, his voice trembling with rage. My ancestors were brought to the Caribbean in chains. That girl's family was in this hemisphere long before yours. And you call us foreign? I would split you in two for that word. Everyone was in shock. This was Bob Marley, the prophet of peace, screaming in an Italian restaurant. But do you know what the real difference is? Bob got even closer. That girl stayed quiet because she is earning her money. And she studies at night, sends money to her family, and most importantly, she treats people with respect. While you sit in your office, carrying other people's money around and thinking you're better than everyone. Bob pointed his finger at Whitmore's chest. Let me tell you something, racist trash. There is more respect in that girl's little finger than in your entire body. The restaurant was dead quiet. Only Bob's voice could be heard. And another thing, Bob continued. Do you think you're a human being just because you wear an expensive suit and drink expensive wine? Do you know what it means to be human? Humanity is treating every being with dignity. It's understanding that we are all struggling. Whitmore tried to intervene. Now, listen. No, you listen, Bob shouted. I have spent my whole life preaching love and peace. But do you know what I cannot tolerate? I cannot tolerate bullies, cowards who think their money gives them power, those who attack working people. Bob's voice cracked with emotion. That girl works 2 jobs to pay for medical school. She wants to heal people. She wants to make the world better. And you sit here like some king looking down on her. Maria was now openly crying. No one had ever stood up for her like this. This story I'm telling you on the Marley Files, the Untold Stories channel, is the side of Bob Marley that no one has seen. The human side. Do you know what makes someone important? Bob continued. Not money, not what car you drive. It's how you treat people who can give you nothing. And by that measure, you are the poorest person in this room. Whitmore looked around. Everyone was looking at him with disgust. Even his business partner was ashamed. I just... Whitmore stammered. Just what? Bob interrupted. Just being racist? Just being cruel? Bob paused, took a deep breath. Do you know what breaks my heart? There are thousands of people like you in the world. Those who see themselves as high by belittling others. He looked at Maria. And there are thousands of beautiful, hardworking people, like this young lady, who have to deal with pieces of trash like you every day. Bob turned back to Whitmore. Now, this is what you're going to do. You're going to apologize to Maria. You're going to leave a decent amount. I'd even say 10 times the amount you're paying. Then you're going to get out of this restaurant and leave. And as you go, you're going to think about what kind of person you want to be. Whitmore glanced around. Every eye was on him. If you don't, Bob continued, you and I are going to have a very different conversation. Because I may be a man of peace, but I'm also a man who protects those who can't defend themselves. The threat was clear. This was no longer the gentle musician. This was someone who grew up in the streets of Kingston and knew how to fight when necessary. Whitmore deflated. All his arrogance vanished. I'm sorry, he said quietly. Not to me, Bob said firmly. To her. Whitmore went over to Maria. Ma'am, I am sorry. My behavior is inexcusable. Maria nodded, unable to speak. Whitmore took a few $100s out of his wallet and put them on the table. Please accept this as an apology. The restaurant manager approached Bob. Mr. Marley, I am so sorry for this incident. This evening's meal is on us. Bob shook his head. No, thank you. I pay for what I eat. But Maria should go home with pay tonight. And I want you to know that she handled this situation with more grace than I did. As Whitmore was leaving, Bob called out one last time. Mr. Whitmore, that young woman is going to be a nurse. She will spend her life healing people. I hope one day you do something just as meaningful. After Whitmore left, the restaurant quieted down. But the energy had changed. People looked at Bob with awe. They had seen the human side of the man of peace. Bob returned to Rita and Al's table. I've never seen you like this, Rita said softly. Bob sat down heavily. I couldn't just sit and watch. It could have been you. It could have been any of us. Al nodded. Man, I didn't know you had this in you. Everyone has it, Bob replied, even in people who preach peace. Sometimes love means standing up against hate. Maria cautiously approached their table. Mr. Marley, I want to thank you. No one has ever stood up for me like that. Bob stood up and took her hands. Maria, you handled this situation with dignity and strength. Let no one make you feel small. You will be a magnificent nurse. How did you know about medical school? Bob smiled. I knew from how you cared for everyone in this room. This isn't just a job for you. This is your calling. Maria started crying again, but these were tears of gratitude. I don't know how to thank you. Just be yourself, Bob said. Continue to treat people with kindness. The world needs more people like you. Leaving the restaurant that evening, Bob was quiet and thoughtful. Do you regret it? Rita asked. Bob thought for a moment. No, I regret that it was necessary. But I don't regret standing up for someone who couldn't defend themselves. He paused. You know, people think being peaceful means being passive. But sometimes the most peaceful thing is to stop violence. Sometimes love has to speak loudly. This story of Bob spread quickly in New York. Those who were there that night told their friends. Within a few days, it became an urban legend. But the most important story was Maria's. 2 years later, she graduated from medical school with honors. She became a pediatric nurse and cared for the children of poor families. She would often tell her patients about the night Bob Marley taught her a lesson. On the Marley Files, the Untold Stories channel, I bring you stories like this, because this is the true essence of Bob Marley. He wasn't just a musician. He was humanity. He was justice. That night, everyone saw that even the most peaceful heart must sometimes fight. Because true love is not staying silent, it is standing up when necessary. It is standing by the weak, opposing injustice, and protecting dignity. If you love Bob Marley, you can show your love for him by leaving a black heart in the